All right, this is just a simple screencast to show you how to use Edmodo to do quick assessments using the quiz feature only in Edmodo. So here I am at the login screen of Edmodo, and if you don't already have an account, you're going to need to create one. However, if you do have an account that you use, let's say, as part of another Edmodo group that you were a part of during a workshop or something like that, you can use that Edmodo account. Actually, you should use that Edmodo account. Edmodo's built around groups, so you can join any group or create your own groups using that single account. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here and get into Edmodo. And let's take a look at the screen. This product has kind of a social media, Facebook-y type feel to it, which is very comfortable for the students. They learn how to use it pretty easily. Of course, that's not going to be a big issue if you're just using it for quizzing, but that's what it is. Over here on the left, you have groups that you're member of. If you have created a new account, you won't have anything there, although you may see some older groups if you happen to have participated in one previously. I have a bunch of groups because I do a lot of things here. So one of the first things you're going to have to do when you get into Edmodo is you're going to have to create your group. So by clicking on this button and clicking create, you're going to name your group. So, let's say, for example, this is first period science or something like that. You can select your grades. I don't know that you have to, or these are optional, but I do it. They even have subsections of science here, I see. And then create the group. Then it's going to ask you these other questions. I'm not sure why it asks you these necessarily. I don't know if it just wants the information. Edmodo does to do something with it. I usually don't put a description, and I'm going to click finish. And if you look over here, now I have, and I'm inside of my group. This is first period science, and this is the code right here that will be given to my students to allow them to join that group. And when you're done, you can lock it to make sure nobody else can get in. And when it's locked, it'll stay locked. And if you have a student that needs to join that didn't, or is a new transfer to your room, then you just click the lock again, and it'll give you a new code. Each code is new and different. So that's how they're going to join your group. Now, if you're going to use, and by the way, before I move on, this members area down here, as students begin joining your group, you'll see the member numbers increase, and you can actually click on this link and it will show you their account IDs. You don't have to do any account setup at all, of course. They'll just join your class using this group code. Quizzes, we're going to focus on quizzes. So to create a quiz, you go up here to the quiz tab and you click on create a quiz. Now, you want to give your quiz a title, and I'm just going to call this test quiz. That tells me that in my Edmodo I can delete it later, so it's just a test quiz. And you can also give a time limit for your quiz, which is, if you're doing it for a quick start a class, end of class assessment, you can change that, for example, to 5 minutes, depending upon how many questions you have and what you want to do. So you can edit that. There are different kinds of questions that you can add in Edmodo. These are the choices you have: multiple choice, true, false, short answer, fill in the blank, and matching. I have used multiple choice, true, false, and matching. I don't tend to use short answer or fill in the blanks. I'm not quite sure how they work. We'd have to test those out, but that's something you could have your kids do just in a test little quiz as a way to practice using Edmodo. You could put a couple of those in there and have them practice with it. Multiple choice, well, let me just show you. I'm just going to create a few questions. I'm going to start with a multiple choice. No, I'm going to start with a true false. I'll do a true false question, and I'm going to add the first question. Now the load, I believe, and I haven't used this, but I think you can have questions from other quizzes, like a bank. You can create like a quiz bank, and you can actually pull questions from a bank that you have created. And if you use this extensively, that would probably be worth the time to utilize, but I don't tend to utilize that. Or actually, I don't utilize that. I'm going to add the first question, and when it pops up, oh, hang on, it's giving me an error that I already have this. I'm just going to put a 2 after that. And when I add my first question, here it is right here. You see number 1. It's a true false, and then it has a points box. I usually wait till I'm done creating my quiz, unless I already know exactly how many questions I'm going to have, before I allocate points. But in this case, I'm only going to have 2 sample questions, so I'm going to put 50 there. That's going to be worth 50 points. And by the way, notice on this about this quiz over here, it has a 50, and that's giving you the quiz total points, which obviously should equal 100 or whatever your max number is of your quiz by the time you're finished constructing the quiz. So in the prompt, I'm going to put my question, one of Santa, and I know this is not science, and I'm just kind of mixing it up for Chad and Sarah, but you guys listening. But I'm just going to mix up the questions. Prosthetic legs is located in Illinois. I happen to find this an interesting story. So this is a true or false question. One of Santa Ana's prosthetic legs is located in Illinois. Is it true or is it false? Well, this happens to be true, so I'm going to leave that as a true response. By the way, notice, and this can be very powerful, you can attach links if you want your kids to go somewhere and look at something, or you can attach pictures and things like that from your library, which I would have to show you. If you're interested in attaching things to your questions so the kids can look at something, I'll show you how to do that. So that's the first question. To add the second question, you go over here to the plus sign on the left and just add a question. So I'm going to add a question. This one's going to be a multiple choice question. And because I'm only having 2 questions in this sample, I'm going to put 50 points there. And you'll notice now over here on the right, this is a 100-point total. So that's what that is. So the question on this one is going to be, let's see, the Earth's axis is tilted, this is for the science teacher, at an angle of, and then I can have my responses down here. So I can say 52.1, let's say degrees. And B, and by the way, notice with each one of these questions and answer choices, you can attach pictures or links, which is really neat. I'm going to put 23.5 degrees. And then I'm going to put as a choice, there is no tilt on Earth's axis. Okay, and we'll do it like that. All right, now the correct answer, you have to choose the correct answer of these 3. This is the correct answer for the tilt of the axis, so then I've set it. You can remove answers, you can add more responses if you have more than 3 choices you want them to have, so you can add more. Also, now that I'm really done constructing this sample quiz of just 2 questions, I want you to notice that there's a randomized question. Now, if you have 10 questions, even 5 really, if your students are taking a quiz side by side, randomize is very helpful because it allows you to, for them to have a different question on each computer. Nobody has the same question at the same time, theoretically, unless you have just so few questions that it almost can't be helped. But when I give 20 question quizzes and things like that, this random is great because, of course, in my lab, I have students sitting side by side and they don't have the same question at the same time. Then that's very helpful. Also, the show results check mark. This can be important. What that means is that the student can see their results immediately upon completion of the quiz. I usually deselect that and select it later. If you're doing just a quick before class assessment, you probably want that to be checked. But it depends on when you want the students to see the results. If it's something you don't want them to see because they could share that with other students, or you want to look at it before you give them the answers or their grades, then you can deselect that. Otherwise, you can leave that checked. All right, so we have a quiz title. We have 2 questions over here on the left. We have a time limit of 5 minutes. We have showing the students the results upon completion, and we're not randomizing, in this case, the questions. Now, there's one other little box that I failed to mention I want to talk about here. This is just a description for the quiz. So you can say, please answer all questions. I can type here. Note the 5-minute time limit. That might be helpful. Any instructions you want to give them about the quiz, this will show before they actually take it. These quizzes are auto-saved, so in Edmodo, it's just like Google, it auto-saves it, which is nice. And if I click the preview button, it'll actually let me take a look at this quiz. So here's test quiz 2. Kind of a contradiction there, isn't it? Test quiz. Oh well, you get the idea. There's your title. Notice here's the instructions that I just typed in. So there's the instructions. It tells the student how many questions there are and the time limit. A lot of times, though, they don't read that. That's why I kind of am redundant here with the instruction. When you click start the quiz, it's going to show you the first question. One of Santa Ana's prosthetic legs is located in Illinois, and you can, if you want to take it, you can answer it. And then if you hit this button here, it'll take you to the second question. The Earth's axis is tilted at an angle of, and you can pick whichever one. I'm going to be wrong. It's not really going to score it. It just tells you how many are completed. And if you submit the quiz, are you sure you want to end? And this is how it will look for the student. They will submit the quiz. Once they submit it, then it'll tell you your results. And in this case, well, because it's a preview, it's not giving you anything other than you completed 2 of 2 questions. So because we did have show results on the student end, they will be able to see their grade, and they will be able to look at correct and incorrect answers. At the end of the quiz, though, it does ask the students to select a little emoticon saying how they like the quiz, and they can do that, and then they can view the results. And so in this case, oh, here are the results. Okay, after the preview, it'll show you, and this is what the kids will see, their score, which is in the upper right-hand corner of 50 of 100, and then it'll show them in red their incorrect answers. So the first one was right, and when you go to the second one was wrong, and it shows them the correct answer. So that's really nice. And if you want, again, if you want to see that, they can, which is great. So this is a preview. Now, on your end, if you go to, and I just did a preview, so that's basically how you set up the quiz at this end. Now I'm going to take you back to, and I'm going to have to use one of my classes to show you this. When you're done with the quiz, and let's say you want to take the grade and put them in Skyward, what you'll do is go up to this progress bar up here, and you'll see your one class. Now I'm not going to use this. Well, maybe I could use this. No, I don't want to use this. I want to show you a real class. I'm going to go down to one of my actual classes, and what you do is you'll see all their assignments, in this case your quizzes, across the row. And you'll select the one that you took. Now I'm going to go over here and find an old quiz that I gave so I can give you an example of what I'm talking about here. And there's the bell. And I'm going to view the assignment. I click on it in view. And what's kind of nice is in this area, it will do a breakdown for you, and it will tell you who scored what, who got the highest scores, and it will also give you a question breakdown. So it'll let you know how they did on that particular question, whether or not that was a good question. Notice on question number 1, a lot of my students missed that, which tells me that it may have been a bad question, and I need to go back and look at that. And it also tells you which ones maybe were really good questions, especially like this one. Most of your students knew that, so they understand that material. So this is a great way to kind of analyze and break down the quiz that you gave. And so that's nice. All right, hopefully this will give you a really good head start into getting quizzes created in Edmodo. And as you have questions, please be sure and let me know. Thanks, and have fun.